Hello and welcome to my tattoo video. Not quite as self-indulgent as you might think. This was actually requested. Hello Victoria. She asked me to do a video about my tattoos, what each one of them means. So here we go. My first tattoo is a goth cliche. It is a bat on a full moon. I made the classic rookie mistake. I knew I wanted a bat on a full moon because it was all dark and spooky, and I have a big thing about bats anyway. So I went to a tattoo studio and I looked at the wall and I'll have that one. And that's exactly what I did. And I was perfectly happy with it until I got some more tattoos and then realised just how dreadful it looked in comparison. So my lovely tattooist reworked it for me and now it looks like this. My next tattoo was slightly more ambitious and it is this Celtic armband. So the little symbol in the middle represents the sun, moon and stars. And I was just kind of starting to walk my spiritual path at this point, and it was representative of my spirituality at that point in time. So once upon a time I was young and in love, or in other words, I was stupid. My partner at the time thought that it would be really great if we got matching tattoos, and I agreed with him. And because both of us have got Welsh heritage, we thought that Welsh dragons would be a nice idea. This particular design is the logo for the Failing Foil Brewery Double Dragon beer. He's got his and I've got mine, and the relationship did not last. Fortunately, the tattoo did, and I still love it because I still love dragons. At least it wasn't his name that I then had to get covered up. The words underneath it, Vi at tamen honore, is my family's motto, and the rough translation is by force but with honour, which kind of makes me a Klingon. Which is kind of funny really, because hubby's the Trekkie and I'm into Star Wars, but he finds that very amusing. This tattoo is on the back of my left ankle. You'd have to be a real Star Wars nerd to know what this means. To anyone looking at it, it's just a pretty tribal tattoo, and it is a pretty tribal tattoo. Is actually upside down. It's the symbol for Jabba the Hutt's swoop gang. It comes from the extended universe, and to my knowledge you won't find this in any of the movies anywhere. On the back of my right ankle I have this tattoo. It's the symbol for Mercury. I am a Gemini and Mercury is our ruling planet. It's also known as Quicksilver or the dancing metal, and that's kind of nice because I am a dancer as well. The symbols down the side, Alpha, Omega, Infinity, are a shorthand for first and last and always. And if you are a dodgy old goth like me, you'll know exactly where that one comes from. This next tattoo actually has its roots in my childhood. From a very young age, I've had dreams that I've been sitting under a tree while a large black wolf paces up and down in front of me. The wolf has never been aggressive. In fact, he's always been very protective of me. And I really didn't understand what that meant, but I knew that it was important. So I had him tattooed on my left shoulder blade. When I later met hubby, I found out that his totem animal is, you've guessed it, the black wolf. So it would seem that his spirit has been waiting for me for a very long time. This rather nice tribal squiggle is in fact the logo from Gary Numan's Exile album. If you go to a Gary Numan gig, you'll find at least 3 or 4 of us with this tattooed on us somewhere. My next tattoo is another relationship tattoo, the 2 dragons on my belly. The purple dragon represents me and the red dragon represents him. Once again, the relationship didn't work out, but I still have the tattoo and I still love it. It is actually based on Celtic dogs, not dragons, from the front of the Oyster Band's Trawler album. Underneath that, I have got my bat tattoo. And this has come to have greater significance for me since my cancer operation. When I had the op, the main incision went right across the bat's tail. And because my stomach was pumped full of gas so that they could get to my innards more easily, my tummy was very bloated. So immediately after the surgery, I had a large puckered scar and it actually looked like I had 2 belly buttons. It was really very depressing because every time I looked in the mirror, rather than seeing my 2 lovely tattoos, all I could see was the scar across it, and it was a constant reminder that I'd had cancer. Once the scar had properly healed and my tummy had gone back down to its usual shape, my lovely tattooist recoloured the whole thing for me. And if you look, you can hardly see the scar at all. Having the tattoo recoloured was a huge part of my psychological healing post-op. My next tattoo is actually most tattooists' pet peeve. Girlies would come in and they would want either Chinese or Japanese symbols plastered somewhere on the body for love, for strength or peace or whatever. Okay, yes, they look very pretty, but they didn't often have any great meaning. For me, these Chinese symbols are very important indeed. I can't actually remember the last time my dad called me by my name. He's always referred to me as my kid. Well, when he married my stepmum, who is Chinese, she insisted that I was now our kid. So the literal translation for the symbols down my back is the child who belongs to us, or in other words, our kid. Down on the inside of my left wrist you will find this symbol. It's found throughout many ancient cultures, but we call it by its Japanese name, which is Mitsudomo. The Mitsu is actually the symbol for our medieval household, and our motto is Ambulus in Umbra, which means walk in shadow. For us, the Mitsu is representative of the triple Tao. Those of you who are familiar with yin and yang will know that that is light and dark and black and white and male and female. The triple Tao adds grey. If you walk in the light, all you can see is the dark. If you walk in the dark, all you can see is the light. But if you walk in the shadow, you can see both sides. And this again ties in not only with our medieval household, but with our spirituality. This tattoo was a gift to myself for having been declared 5 years all clear from cancer. On the inside of my right wrist, you will find the Triskel. Again, this is another ancient symbol, most commonly found in the Celtic cultures. It's almost the reverse of the Mitsudomo in its pattern. The circles go out and the tails go in. In many cultures, this represents a trinity, but it depends on you personally as to which trinity. For Celtic Christians, it is, of course, Father, Son and Holy Ghost. For some people, it represents heaven, earth and man. For me personally, it is Maiden, Mother and Crone. This was a gift to myself for 6 years all clear. The Ankh is a very popular symbol throughout all of Goth culture. It is of course the symbol of life, and it is the symbol of the goddess Isis, and it is representative of my personal spiritual path. And this was a gift to myself for 7 years all clear. I think you can see the pattern forming here. These next 2 tattoos were gifts to myself for 8 years all clear. This first one is the symbol of the Assassin's Creed. And as you know, this is my favourite video game. But why would I have their symbol tattooed on my arm? Well, whoever it was that wrote the game in the first place really looked into the origins of the Assassin Order. Contrary to most popular opinion, it has nothing to do with Hashashim. They were the Assassin, and they were keepers of peace in the area. They worked in the dark to serve the light, which really resonated for both hubby and I and our own personal spiritual beliefs. On my right wrist you'll find the symbol for the Jedi Order from Star Wars. If you do the research into the Jedi Order, you will find that George Lucas drew on a great many real organisations, paths and beliefs in order to come up with the Jedi. There's Bushido in there, there is samurai in there. The idea of the Force is very similar to that of Qi and the Tao. Now, although I love all the films, my personal favourite Jedi is Qui-Gon Jinn, and he sums up the whole meaning of the Jedi in one phrase. In Phantom Menace, he turns to his apprentice and he says, "I will do what I must, Obi-Wan," which kind of ties in with the idea of walking in the shadows. He's doing what needs to be done. Once again, a treat to myself. This was for 9 years all clear. On my left forearm you will find a sword hilt. Well, at least that's what most people think it is, and I don't tell them otherwise. Hubby has got the same tattoo on his left wrist, and if you look closely you will see that it is, in fact, 2 L's back to back, one for Luna and one for Loki. Here on my right forearm is Anubis. My personal spiritual path is Egyptian, and Anubis is one of my 2 main deities. He's also very important to me because he's tied in with my old job, which involved working in the mortuaries, and he was the mortuary god. "10 years after my operation, I was declared all clear and was finally discharged from gynae oncology at the Royal Marsden Hospital, and I thought that this really needed something quite significant to mark it. And what better representation of coming into a new life than the phoenix who rises from the ashes. The only trouble was he looked a bit daft, just plonked there in the middle of my back. So over the next couple of months I had a whole bunch of purple smoky wiggles added, not only to make him more at home but also to make my back look less bitty and to tie things all in together. On the top of my right arm is one of many symbols for spirit. When I first saw this symbol, it really struck a chord with me, so I had it tattooed on the top of my right arm. On the top of my left arm, I had a large amethyst in a filigree pattern. It was almost supposed to look like jewellery. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, I wish I'd gone with the Altair symbol there instead, but I do love it. Amethyst is my favourite jewel and it does look very pretty, but I managed to squeeze in my Altair symbol somewhere else. In order to make my tattoos seem somewhat more cohesive, I had more purple smoky wiggles added to the tops of both arms. On the top of my left arm, you will find, hiding in the smoke somewhere near my armpit, a little scully. Now, if you've seen the advert for the mobile phone game Clash of the Titans, you may remember when the witch calls up a whole army of skeletons, one of whom is incredibly cute, and he's called Larry. Well, my hubby has got a full sleeve of various different skulls, and these are connected with smoky wiggles with scullies in them. One of which looks very sweet, so I called him Larry. And when I decided to have my smoke done, I thought I'd better have a Larry of my own. Round the back, between the top of my shoulder and my shoulder blade, you will find my symbol for Altair. I told you I'd get him in there somewhere. Under my armband on the top of my right arm is this beautiful tattoo of Isis. And she is the other of my two deities. She protects me during the day, Anubis protects me at night. The symbols either side of her headdress are the spiritual representations of hubby. So this is what they all look like in connection.
Sing your mantra, leave your mark. Color me.
So the last tattoo that I had done were the symbols next to Isis' headdress. I am contemplating my next one. I'd like something to do with the fields of the Nephilim, but I'm not sure what or where to put it. So there you are, everybody, and Victoria particularly. I hope you enjoyed this wander around my tattoo collection. If you are contemplating having a tattoo yourself and you have any questions or concerns, please do leave them in the comment section below and I will do my very best to answer them for you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and until the next time, take care. Bye.
Color me.